So we're here to discuss
Finally.
again to discuss your inner saboteur, Sandy, this morning.
That's right. Yes, I'm glad we actually got on this morning with all this bad weather. Okay, so I know we had a host of questions coming in during the week, which I've given to you.
Yes, yep. So I will fire away. And one of the first questions is really, what is my inner saboteur? Can you explain what it is?
Well, the inner saboteur is known as a few things, and I just want to give a few examples. And it's really fundamentally a hurt part of us that we haven't attended to and still needs healing. It can be, some people think of it as the inner child. I like to think of it more as parts of us that are separated from ourselves through hurt, so we're not feeling, a whole being. And those hurts can be through just different events through childhood, some trauma that we might have suffered, or just things that have hurt us and wounded us. And so if we go back to that analogy that I gave a few weeks ago about the jigsaw puzzle, if you think about the inner saboteur and ourselves, our inner world, as a jigsaw puzzle, and if we get hurt, those little pieces separate a little bit. So you can think about it as a jigsaw puzzle, and the gaps are where the inner saboteur sits. I also got a thought through this morning. You could also think about it as a piece of knitting with the drop stitches, and the inner saboteur is not able to get picked up because we're not attending to it. We're just carrying on knitting, and the stitches are still being left dropped. And then I got this other picture of a colander with all the holes in, and the inner saboteur can be the hurt parts of us that have fallen through the holes, and they're running around causing confusion and hurt, and they really don't know how to get out or find their way back again. And until we attend to them, those parts of us that might be hurt, we might be angry, we might be defensive, but it's all fundamentally that we've been afraid of something, or we haven't healed some fear in us. And they play up at different times. And so people are inclined to think of the inner saboteur as a bad part of us. It's not, it's just a wounded part of us. If you remember being as a young child and maybe you got into trouble a lot at school in kindergarten or something, and the teacher was particularly unkind to you and you got hurt and you never wanted to go back again, but you still went because mum needed you to go. You might be fearful of actually going there each morning. So that's a hurt part of you. And then you might play out with being a little bit, what somebody might say was troublesome or irritable, or you might just go quite quiet as a child. So it's a hurt part of us that still needs being attended to. And the inner saboteur actually does its best to protect us.
Okay.
Though it creates a lot of problems, it's actually our protector that we need to deal with, because we don't want to be protected in a negative way. And that's what it's doing. It's looking out for us.
Right.
So we don't get hurt again.
It's quite interesting that. So it's protecting you. So on that, if it is protecting you, how do you recognize that it's playing up inside you?
I found that the one that I found most with people is when something is changing in life, and then those changes create a lot of fear or anxiety. It might be that you're going for a new job and then you get a bit nervous and you end up not going for the interview for fear of failure. That would be an inner saboteur. It can be if you're starting your business and things aren't going too well and you find you're procrastinating a lot, or you're very disorganized and you're not getting things done that you want to get done. That can be how it can play up.
Okay.
You might get up in work to do a speech on stage, and then all of a sudden you just find you can't speak and you're just really scared. It's fear of change. It's fear of putting ourselves out there. And it plays up really big time when we're taking a big step forward in our lives, or we're looking for a massive change in something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might be in corporate and you want to leave corporate and start your own business. And you're finding in your business you've got to go and meet certain people, do certain things that take you way outside your comfort zone.
Same. And
the saboteur keeps us in that comfort zone. Which is why it's called a comfort zone. It's like a warm blanket that it knits around us. So that plays up in those ways as well, and also in relationships, big time.
Okay, so is it kind of like an inner voice as well?
It can be the inner critic that just keeps moving away at you, saying, "Oh, you're useless. You won't be able to do that. You'll fail. So keep quiet. Don't do that. Don't say this. Keep everybody happy." That it can play out that way, or mostly. I found it through feeling. You get an anxious feeling, or you get afraid, or you just can't speak, or you find you're getting disorganized, and overwhelm is a really big indicator.
Okay, overwhelm. Okay. So on also, we have another question, where is, should I work with it or should I work against it?
Definitely don't work against it.
Okay.
Because the more you work against it, it'll think it's under attack, and therefore it's going to be more and more defensive.
Okay.
So if you think of it as parts of yourself, which is how I think of it, but I deal it through the inner child, because it's more warming to people to think of themselves as the little inner child is hurting, as opposed to separated parts of ourselves. You know, there might be different ages that we just need to rethink about what happened to us at that time, or what we went through. So it's about going in, and there's different techniques that you can use, but it's about going inward and really connecting with that part of ourselves that's it's hurting. And we can do that through the feeling. So if we suddenly get a really strong wrench in our gut, or we just can't breathless, and we get really anxious, it's actually to go, instead of pushing that feeling away, which is what we intuitively do, we push in away from ourselves, just because of our survival mode that kicks in, is to actually not do that. It's actually to allow that feeling to be felt and to experience that feeling. And whilst we're experiencing it, be really silent with it and allow it to tell you what it needs to tell you about what's going on inside. And then you can ask questions and go a little bit deeper. It is practice, and it's a bit scary for some people. Yeah, but that's the way that you could deal with it on your own.
Okay, so the other question, which I think relates into this, is, so does it mean that there's something wrong, or something wrong with me if I feel that it's playing up, or?
No.
And I think it's covered.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I'll carry on.
Sorry, it just cut out a little bit there. Absolutely not. I mean, when ladies come to see me, they say, I've got all these issues, and you know, I really can't, I keep meeting the same wrong person, or I just can't find I can get into this relationship, and I get shut down, and I find my emotions get closed off. So what's wrong with me? There must be something wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with us. We're just emotionally, if you like, inside, we're emotionally unwell. There's hurts and wounds that need dealing with. We can try our hardest to forget about them, and some people teach you to forget about them, but they've been registered in your cellular memory. They're in your body. It's not just your mind, they're in your body. So your body will never ever forget. That's why years later you could think of someone and get the same, you know, get really angry or really miss them, because there's still a part of us that's energetically attached to that incident or that person or that event. And those pains that we felt at the time, or that fear that we felt at the time, is registered in our body. It's registered in our cellular memory, in our emotional body. It's registered in the deepest part of our subconscious mind. So the more we try to forget, sadly, the more we separate from ourselves. And so we're not being totally present with ourselves. We're not living to the fullness of self. And we can push it so far back that it just gets taken care of by the subconscious mind. But at some point in time in life, it's probably going to pop up and say, hey, you know.
It's really funny you said, so as you're talking, I'm sort of thinking about the sort of differences sometimes between how I deal with things and how my husband deals with things. And if there's a problem, he'll call straight away. He'll pick up the phone, deal with it, you know, and get on with it. Whereas I will kind of internalize it, or go up into my head. I'll think about it, then, you know, but I always, even things like with money, you know, if something happens, I might sort of like kind of beat myself up about, oh, that's gone wrong, la, la, la. Whereas he'll just be like, deal with it, pick up the phone, what can I do to sort it out? And I just, is that, do I have more of an inner saboteur than him then? Is that what? I know, I hate you saying yes.
Oh, bless you. In that scenario that you're talking about, yes, because your inner saboteur is totally distracting you and getting you into confusion.
Right, okay.
And in confusion, I don't do anything.
Yeah, okay.
And in confusion, I get confused and I focus on the confusion. That makes me feel worse, and therefore I won't deal with it, and therefore nothing can go wrong because I don't need to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It can be that, yeah. So somewhere along the line, there's some things that have happened that have not just maybe one event, but accumulation
over the time.
Yeah, because once that original hurt is felt, that then creates roots, if you like, for our beliefs and our negative belief systems, which then turn into habits and behaviors. So when we think that, or when we've felt something young and then we've taken this belief on that, oh, I'm not very lovable and no one likes me, not only is the hurt registered, but that belief is sewn into that hurt at that time. And if we were hurt really badly, that root is really strongly embedded in us. And there's an emotional charge that goes with it, like an electric shock, charge, which is why we have those physical reactions later on in life, because that charge is still registered in our body. And of course, then if you go through life thinking no one likes you, you're going to create your life based on that thought, and you're just going to see more and more of it, all in different forms, in different ways.
Right.
So you're going to grow that belief more and more and more every single day of your life in some way.
It's funny because then you're exactly that. I don't act on the problem. So it is sort of that monkey chatter sort of thing that you've discussed before, that then stops me from just maybe dealing with it, and then that causes more problems, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So, and you help people get past that, though, don't you?
Gosh, yes, yeah. That's fundamentally the basis of my work. Is no one has to go back and relive anything. I just go and find the root cause and transform that root cause, and that's the ability that I have to be able to see all of that, and the emotion and the belief system that it's created, so I can work with transforming that at the same time. Yeah.
And it's not just love, is it? I mean, it's like, for me, I probably need to talk to you about money as well, don't I? I can't start clearing some things to do with.
Well, when I call it to love, it's fundamentally what I mean is it's love of self.
No.
So if we don't have that, and we don't have that connection with ourselves, then we're missing on that true depth of wonderful connection that we can have with everything else around us, not just people, but money, our careers, our businesses, everything that we create that comes from us. If there's a missing bit of connection within us, or it's on shaky ground, then we're not really able to experience the fullness of what that experience that we want to create give us. We're not really connected with it as a way that we could be. So that the difference is, and these inner saboteurs affect every aspect of our life: what we eat, how we exercise, how we take care of ourselves, how we don't take care of ourselves, money, fundamentally, money, and love. So the more we are in the wholeness of self, then whatever we create, we're creating it from a place of wholeness, a place of joy, a place of self-love. So whatever we're creating is more magical. It gives us back more too, and we're more connected to it. No different to love or to money or anything else.
Yeah.
And that's where we miss out big time in life. And sadly, I think, to me, that's the biggest crime as humans that we create, is to teach us to, to be afraid of ourselves, not be in that wholeness of self. Because we're missing out so much magic and so much sense of fullness and meaning and connection.
I think that's a really good point to make. And then people can do that by working with you, can't they? And start to really learn not just about themselves, but about everything else that they're connected to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Because if we transform from the inside out, then we naturally then connect to everything around us more easily, and everything just seems to flow in and out of our life more easily. So we don't hold on to stuff, we don't hang on to things, we let things flow in and flow out and just take their natural course. And we're guiding that ship. We're not letting our inner saboteur decide our outcomes, because that's the other big thing it does. It decides our life. It makes our life hard and gives us obstacles and challenges that don't need to be.
And that's because you're not aligned to what you're for. Yeah. See, I learn something every week, Sandy.
And if you're in alignment with yourself,
yes,
you are in alignment with everyone, everything around you. Nature, people, everything. Yeah. And it's so much more joyful, because you take joy out of really simple things. And it's a very simple answer, really.
Brilliant.
In line with ourselves.
Well, that is all the questions.
Okay,
this
great.
week. So hopefully there'll be some, if anybody else has any questions, they can, as always, put them in the comments in Facebook below, and then we'll come back to you, even if it's about your inner saboteur and money. I might be putting some questions there myself.
Oh yeah, let's talk about money.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you for today, and then I'll pop the video up again for everyone to watch that's missed this.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, Sandy.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.